Okay. So here is something that should not have been possible. A human being. No claws. No fangs. No armor. No natural weapons of any kind. Soft skin. Relatively slow. Physically weak compared to almost every large animal on the planet. And yet somehow, your ancestors looked at a woolly mammoth standing 4 meters tall and weighing 6 tons and thought, "We can take that." And they were right. How? How did the physically weakest large predator on Earth become the most effective hunter that has ever existed? How did creatures that a lion could kill without breaking a sweat become the reason that lions are now endangered? The answer is not strength. It is not speed. It is something far more dangerous than either of those things. It is thinking. Let us start with what your ancestor was actually up against. The animals they hunted were not just large. They were ancient. They had evolved over millions of years alongside other predators. They had defense systems refined by natural selection for exactly the kind of threats that existed in the world. A mammoth's tusks could impale a cave lion. An aurochs, the wild ancestor of modern cattle, stood nearly 2 meters at the shoulder and had horns that could disembowel anything that got close. A giant ground sloth the size of an elephant could shred a predator with a single swipe of its clawed arm. A steppe bison could outrun most things and kick hard enough to shatter bone. These animals had never encountered anything like a human being before. And that turned out to be the problem. For them. Because your ancestors' most dangerous weapon was not anything physical. It was information. Early humans were extraordinarily good at reading animals. They spent their entire lives observing the same species in the same landscape. They knew exactly when the mammoth migrated. They knew exactly where the aurochs drank. They knew the routes the giant deer took through the forest. They knew the escape behaviors of every animal they hunted, how they responded to threats, which direction they ran, how far they would run before they slowed. And they shared that information. Within the group. Across generations. So that knowledge accumulated. It did not disappear when one hunter died. It was passed on. Every lesson learned about every animal was preserved and added to. No other predator on Earth did this. The lion learns from its own experience. The human learned from everyone who had ever hunted that animal before them. And then there is the technology. Around 300,000 years ago, humans began making hafted spears. Wooden shafts with stone tips attached using resin and binding. A tool that could extend the reach of a human arm by 2 meters and deliver a lethal strike from a distance no animal could respond to. Around 65,000 years ago, evidence suggests humans were using bow and arrow technology. A device that could send a projectile faster than any animal could react, from a distance no animal could detect as a threat. You could kill something from 40 meters away before it even knew you were there. These were not just tools. They were asymmetric warfare. A way of engaging with animals on completely different terms than any other predator ever had. Every other predator on Earth had to get close. Humans learned to kill from a distance. And that changed everything. But perhaps the most remarkable hunting strategy your ancestor used was also the simplest. They just did not stop. Persistence hunting. The technique of following an animal across long distances in the heat of the day until it collapsed from heat exhaustion. Not faster than the animal. Not stronger. Just relentlessly, continuously present. Following. Tracking. Never letting it rest. Most animals cool themselves through panting. Which means they cannot pant and run at the same time. If you keep them moving in the heat, their body temperature rises toward a fatal level. They have to stop. And your ancestor, who could sweat efficiently and run indefinitely, was still there when they did. Researchers studying persistence hunting in contemporary hunter-gatherer communities have documented hunters chasing kudu antelope for over 4 hours across the Kalahari Desert in temperatures above 40 degrees. The kudu, an animal that can outrun a human at any moment in the chase, eventually collapsed and could not rise. The hunter walked up and made the kill. The kudu was faster. The human was more patient. And then there is the most powerful hunting advantage of all. Humans hunted together. Not in the loose way that lions coordinate a hunt. In a deeply planned, strategically organized, communication-dependent way that required language, memory, role assignment, and trust. Ancient hunters would plan a drive. A coordinated effort where one group of humans made noise and frightened an animal herd toward a specific location where another group was waiting. Or toward a cliff edge. Or into a bog where the animals would sink and be unable to escape. The mammoth did not know it was being herded. It was responding to one group of noisy humans and running away from them. It did not understand that running away was exactly what the hunters needed it to do. No predator in history had ever hunted this way before. Planning, coordination, deception, and the deliberate manipulation of another animal's behavior using knowledge of how it would respond. That is not hunting. That is strategy. And strategy, it turned out, was more powerful than any tusk, any claw, or any size advantage that any animal on this planet had spent millions of years developing. Your ancestors did not beat the mammoth because they were stronger. They beat it because they could think further ahead than it could. Because they could share information. Because they could plan together. Because they could wait. The mammoth, the aurochs, the giant deer, the steppe bison, the woolly rhinoceros. Gone. All of them. In every region where modern humans arrived, the large animals disappeared shortly after. Not because of climate. Not because of disease. Because a small group of soft-skinned, clawless, physically unremarkable primates decided they were going to eat them. And they had the intelligence, the patience, and each other to make it happen.